what's most talked about, especially what we see, the burning of schools, the dormitories, the injuries of the students, inhalation of smoke and all that. Recently it happened in Nairobi, Buruburu Girls. Before then, it was in Nakuru. Before then, it was in other schools across the country. So to help us know what's happening and discuss this and find a way forward is two principals of high schools. That is Finora Buyengo, principal at St. Albert Ulanda Girls, who's joining us virtually. And of course, in studio, we have William Mwangi, principal at Alliance High School. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin with Mrs. Buyengo, if you can get me clearly. We know your school is still, we've not had any kind of reports, but around you, Migori County, generally, there are so many issues of school unrest, and this is something that cuts across the country. We can't claim that one section of the country has experienced this and the other section has not. Even right here in the capital, we have cases. So let's begin with you. Your assessment as a head of school, what's happening to the schools? Why are students doing this?
Thank you so much. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. Proceed.
Thank you. My name is Mrs. Buyengo Finora, the principal of St. Albert Ulanda Girls, and I'm happy to have you at the school in Migori County.
All right, I think we are having a terrible connection and we are not able to communicate with Mrs. Finora Buyengo, Principal St. Albert Ulanda Girls. As soon as we get that connection, we will. But let me bring back the discussion to William Mwangi, the principal for Alliance High School. Thank you for joining us. And the same question I was asking Mrs. Buyengo, the school unrest experience across the country in Kenya. What's happening, your assessment as a head of that school?
Thank you, Ken, and thank you for inviting me to this show. Allow me to observe that we all know where we have come from. A long time of absence from schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that kind of time that the students were home, that very little was happening. Schools were opened for the students that are present in school after 9 months of absence. As the schools were opened, government came up with a program on how to recover the lost time. And the kind of program that the government brought in has an issue with what we have today. In the sense that the time for coverage of syllabus was reduced, and the breaks were also reduced. We have failed to take cognizance of the fact that the brain can only accept certain amount of stress within a certain time. We now have the same kind of syllabuses being covered because nothing has been said to have been removed out of the syllabus. So schools are doing everything possible to cover that kind of work.
Okay.
And when that is done,
the pressure is on the student.
The pressure is on the student because the time per day is limited.
Okay.
But the amount of work on the child, I think, is also too much.
Okay.
It's just not on the students, even the teachers.
Okay.
They also have a similar problem. And again, the programs of the school of exams have to go on if we have to achieve what we intend to achieve. So to be able to cover the syllabuses in time, then we are forced to teach extra time.
Okay.
Because time is limited. We are not told that there are certain parts of the syllabus that syllabuses have been deleted. So we are faced with that problem.
Okay.
So when we teach this much, it could have happened in the past to some certain extent, but you realize that we have had long breaks. But this time around, after about 10, 11 weeks, students are home for only 1 week. Even before he realizes he's at home,
he's back to school.
He's back to school.
Okay.
And back to the same program.
Okay.
So I believe that is one of the issues I believe that we are facing.
And a huge reason at that.
True. Yeah. And most of you realize when riots happen in schools, They don't target classes.
They target
They target the dormitories. What are they telling you?
They don't want to be
They
in the
don't want to
dormitory.
be in the dormitory. They want to be at home.
Okay.
That's something we should all take cognizance of, that they don't want to be in school.
Or even in the dining area, it doesn't happen there.
Doesn't
And
happen.
that's where the fire is.
True. So I was saying that much as we are experiencing this, there is something that is coming up from the students. We have to understand that provision of education was liberalized by government a while ago, and so many private schools have come up. The facilities in these private schools are good compared to what they ratified mainly in the public schools, because these riots are in public schools.
Yes.
They're not in private schools. I'm in Alliance High School. It's not once when a child has chosen to come to Alliance, but he doesn't understand that Alliance is a public school. So he comes later and tells the parent, I don't want to be in this school. Reasons is because the kind of environment that is in that school cannot match what he had in that private school.
Okay.
And in most cases, we have had quite a number of students who are day students in the public school, in the private schools that they were in. But this time you bring them in and they find a very, very different environment. So we have to know really how to sort out this.
Okay.
And even ask ourselves, is it time to abolish secondary schools?
We're going to talk about that, but very interesting perspective. And from what you're saying, is the blame goes directly to the students. Because from what you're saying, you realize what they're banning is the dormitories. So the blame is on the students, what's happening, because the role of securing the school cannot be left to the students. The role of monitoring the schools, I say Interior has taken steps and directed that schools should even install CCTV cameras to ensure that they know what's happening at what location and what time. So throwing it back to the students, it means even the people who are supposed to take care of the school are now blaming it on the students.
I do not want to blame it on the teachers either. I don't want to blame it on students. I think we should look at the cause.
Okay.
Yes. Could it have been possible to extend the time beyond what we are doing?
Okay.
To release the amount of tension?
Assuming that in the recent past, perhaps 2-3 years ago, before COVID, there were no riots in school.
They were there.
Riots.
They were there.
So you can't blame it also on time.
Yes, they were there.
Strict timelines that you have to operate.
True, they were there.
Yes.
But again, it gets us back to what I was saying.
Yes.
Yes, is it time when we looked at the issue of boarding schools? Yeah? I am sure most of the Kenyan parents would not want to have that. But the reality that our students do not want to be in those boarding schools.
Okay.
Because even in the past, the target has to be in the dormitories.
The dormitories, yes.
Rarely have we heard of a school burning a school, students burning a school bus. There's a lot of pressure in that.
Yeah.
Yes? We don't have even burning the offices. They don't do that. If it happens, it's on very, very rare occasions. So to me, is that in the present circumstances, we need to look, in my opinion, we need to look at the kind of time that we have been given to cover these syllabuses.
Okay.
We either...
What would be the solution? You are practicing, you're a teacher.
Yes.
You're a head teacher.
Yes.
What would have been the solution, for example, for the Ministry of Education to ensure that the time that was lost from March last year is covered? How would you, for example, have proposed that this is distributed so that there's not much pressure? Because we know the recovery has been put to 2023, that we can go back to the normal school calendar?
That's it.
Yes.
That's what the government did. But we need also to have looked at what are the effects of that. And this is what we are likely to be getting now, because we share with these students. It's not likely that you have this kind of thing from Alliance. But the boys, you actually come and share with us and tell us we have this kind of pressure. So when you have that, we have something that we have to do. We come up with a way of making them release that kind of tension. So, but not every school will do that. I think what we require is to have something that is planned for the entire country. Again, we have, because of the shortage of time and the COVID conditions, we have not had any games, any curricular activities outside.
The calendar, the sports calendar, for example.
Because that one helps the boys or the girls, the students, vent out some tension. It has not been there. I will not blame government for that.
Okay.
Because of the conditions that were there, the conditions that have been put by the Ministry of Health. That's it.
Okay.
But now opening up, and I believe that very soon those ones will be there. But you see, the students are not giving us time to get to that.
Okay.
But even that, I want to say that it is necessary that we give them time to rest. It may take us a little longer, but I'm sure by doing so, we will be able to save a lot of public property.
Okay.
A lot of public property. Because we may want to do that, but we lose a lot in the meantime.
Okay.
There is also something more. There is a lot of congestion in our schools. So with that congestion, the students would look for anything that you trigger something. Yeah, they are congested, and that is a fact. Government is also aware that there is congestion because of the government's policy of 100% transition. So we all need to look at all these factors. There is not one thing that we can say is a
major contributor
in isolation.
To this. Okay.
There are many factors.
Many factors.
You realize even parents themselves, they feel stressed. They have to pay fees after every 2 months, right? So we did not, I think we needed to have consulted more, especially with the people on the ground, to know how better this situation this problem can be sorted out.
Mitigated. Yes. So before we look at the solutions, perhaps as a teacher number one in Alliance High School, you head that school, you know everything that is happening in that school, you are the principal of Alliance. What have you done differently? Because you must find a coping mechanism. What are you doing differently? What are you telling your teachers? What are you telling your students every assembly time, every guidance and counseling session? What do you tell these students? Perhaps their teachers would want to learn from that.
The structure and the tradition of Alliance is a bit unique in the sense that if it's a matter of meeting students, we meet our students every day, every morning.
Okay.
There's a meeting between us and the students. We address them every morning. Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesday, we meet them in the houses. We are able to discuss our issues there. There's also one unique thing that a student is free to come to the principal's office at any time.
Open door policy.
And uses a different door from my secretary.
Okay.
So when
they just sneak in?
Just sneak in, comes, knock at the door. When I hear there is a knock, I have to open the door for him.
You know, it's a student.
Yes, and he won't come in until I open the door. So he comes and says, what are his problems? So we are able to do it that way. And times they come and pour their problems out. But again, you realize that those kind of schools may be more motivated than others.
Yes.
Yes, because of where they are coming from, their entering behavior, what are his dreams. So he may not want to have anything that's going to disrupt. So the level of motivation in Alliance and other related schools could be slightly higher, as opposed to other schools whose motivation could be a bit different.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm coming back to you, but I'm told now we have Madam Finora Buyengo online. And Madam, sorry, that connection for the poor connection. I hope we can now have a good discussion. From your experience, I've had a discussion here with the Principal Alliance High School, but I want your experience from that end. We haven't experienced a lot of unrest from that end, but it doesn't mean that it's not coming, or it doesn't mean that it's not somewhere on the way and is happening in other schools. So from where you sit, what is the major cause of this? Where would the buck stop?
Hello, thank you so much. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you so much. In this end, we can't say it's zero, but all the same said and done, it's expected amid COVID, many things to happen. We have intensified elaborate grading and counseling programs, particularly we have our students having one-on-one talks with the teachers. We also invite parents on board so that we get to know what the students are experiencing, and we have dialogue with the students. And then number two, we always intensified the spiritual programs for daily nourishment. Under the Catholic Church, we do spiritual nourishment to the students. We talk to them, and we have stationed the chaplain from the Catholic Church, Homa Bay Diocese. So we embrace inclusive school activities, but also include motivational programs. The motivational programs in this case, we do SWOT analysis, and we take stock. Particularly using this being a girls' school, we involve the lady teachers so much on board, so that we see what the girls are going through, and we compare with other programs in other schools also, so that one school is affected, automatically the girls will be affected. And then we have also gone out of class activities, for example, to promote talents. You have a talents day, we go for cultural days, and we're involved in less risk curriculum activities. That the girl child is kept very busy and gets engaged into recognizing their talents, and also they get proud of it. Together, we have also come up with the academic appraisal days, because we used to have what we used to call AGMs, but now because of COVID and amid COVID-19, we have narrowed it to academic appraisal days, and we give awards, even the low achievers, the top performers, and so that we come to capture the negative thoughts in the girls, and we get engaged into the activities of the day. In the same forum also, the academic life, as we learn the girls with other schools, we come together to see how these girls can have motivational speakers, so that we have for example, we have the principal's talk on Saturdays programmed. Also on Saturday, we go to denominations, so that other denominations can as well be encouraged. The girls get out to speak growth on Saturday. There's an hour for the same. On the rewarding and awarding positively, the attributes are among the learners, the teachers, and with the leaders. That we have the straight talk day. In the straight talk days, the girls get to ventilate. They talk about what is burning in them. Then we get to their understanding that is not about to do it amid COVID. They get to know that there's a tomorrow for them, and their tomorrow is better than today.
Okay.
Anyway, said and done, the school also has had a retreat, and we had 3 days retreat. So that away from academic life, the girls can get to know their spiritual life, because everything has gone back to God, our Creator. And that's what we are doing as we involve other schools also to come in, because we're a STEM school. At the same time, there's a master center, and we reach the souls of other students equally.
Very interesting, Madam, indeed. But I need to take a break. But I'll ask you one question. With all those things you're telling me, with the outline of interventions that you have put in place, and they look like they're working for you indeed, how has the numbers affected the one-on-one engagement with the student? Because as an excellence center, with the number of students, you must have a really difficult time managing and reaching each and every student. So how has that numbers contributed, and how do you manage with the numbers?
I think actually the number is high. We are 2,562 girls. And I want to thank Teacher Service Commission because of many teachers that have been employed on board. But what we are doing mostly, we have programs that are structured, so that we kill the monotony of the school programs that are congested so much. The numbers to be managed, we have formed academic families. So these academic families, we are doing parental through guiding and counseling, which is elaborate, yes. And we finalize down, we narrow it down to bring all the stakeholders on board, because as a teachers alone, you cannot manage. But anyway, said and done, along the COVID and amid COVID, what we are doing the condensed programs that will let the girls also come on board to give themselves the peer teaching. We have peer teaching and also program discussion groups.
No.
That our cause is not left out on board.
All right, stay with me. We are taking a short break on Bottomline Africa. We are back to finish this discussion with possible solutions.